Okay, welcome back everybody to coffee, hot coffee, fresh coffee in the morning. Well, almost afternoon. So we're going to work in, Jen sent me this book. Let me find the cover because it's a spiral bound. It's from a Russian artist, and I'm not going to be able to tell you here's the cover. So here's the cover. And I will try to remember to put a link to, you have to buy it, I think, through her website. And I'll try to remember to put a link in the description box at the end of the video, and so where you can go to her site and order it. So Jen, Reading with Pugs, sent me this, and I have colored one page in it. I've colored this page. Let me take out my cardstock behind it. And I think we did partially watercolor, and then color pencil, and then Stickles glitter on top. So you can see where we've added the stickles, right? So there's a video on this. Yes, I'm going to Kiki. And so, oh, now I lost the page we're going to do. Here, this page. So we're going to do this page, and I'm going to gesso the page. Now this paper is pretty thick, and like I was saying before I hit record, I really never have a problem with watercolor going through because I'm careful not to oversaturate my pages. As long as you do not oversaturate your pages, I can even do a Bennett Klein thin paper with watercolor if I'm careful without it going through. And that's because I dry between layers. That is a key point. You have to dry between layers of watercolor. Okay, so we have done one page. We did it in, I think it was the Pop Manga book. We used the gesso. We used Finnabair's Art Basic Clear Gesso. And what this does is it puts a coat of clear gesso on your page, and it will make your watercolor resist. So it will almost like pool and puddle, and it won't soak into the paper. But it can be a problem with watercolor because it doesn't sink into the paper. So you can move the watercolor around and get that real watercolory look, which was what I'm thinking with this mermaid. But if you go to add another color on top of it, you'll be lifting the color. So I'll show you as we go. So just know that gesso, clear, or whether you're using an art journal or a color book page or whatever, it's going to make your mediums resist sinking into the paper, which could be good or could be bad depending on your medium. So if you want your watercolor to lift back up, then that you can expect that if you gesso your pages. If you want to do layers and layers and layers of watercolor and get it darker and darker and darker, don't put gesso on it because you're just going to be lifting. You're going to be lifting your paint right back up off. Does that make sense? Okay. So we have about an hour, so we'll see how far we can get in an hour. So I'm going to just squeeze out. Now this gesso, and let me kind of clean this off so I don't glue the lid shut. The Finnabair Clear Gesso, let me get a baby wipe. And one of the things I've always not liked about gesso is the grittiness of it. This gesso feels just like hand lotion. There is absolutely no grit at all to the Finnabair gesso. And I got this at Michael's. I had a 50% off coupon. I think it runs $10 normally. And there's a lot in here. 8.45 fluid ounces. So there's a lot in here. And, that's probably going to do the whole page right there. But I am going to clean off my lid here so I don't, like I said, I don't want to glue my lid shut. So I'm going to clean that out. Okay. If y'all have any questions, put them in caps. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is a live show with, let me get a piece of paper here. with the live audience. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some piece, well, that's too little. I need some bigger. Let me get a bigger piece of parchment paper. This book is quite large. It is, let me get a ruler. We've only done one page in it so far. Let's talk about the size of it. It's big. It is 12.5 by 12.5. So it's a big Mama Jamba book. So I'm going to put a piece of parchment, wax paper. I think your keyboard is working, Blue, and that might have kicked you out. It might have auto kicked you out for flooding the channel. We didn't kick you out, Blue. But you might have auto got kicked out for that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, and if you want no brush marks, I would recommend using a foam brush so you don't get any brush marks. We're just going to roll with it today with the brush here. And I'm just going to, and I'll put it on pretty smooth though. I'm going to coat the whole thing, and I'm only going to put one coat. I've seen girls do do gesso on their color book pages and put 2 or 3 coats. I am not going to do that. I'm putting one coat. I think that's sufficient in a color book. And smoothing it out as smooth as possible. And then I'm going to hit it with the heat gun. And then I'm going to use the Jane Davenport Mermaid markers for my watercolor. Although I do have her little watercolor palettes here standby. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so, and you can look at it from the side and see if you've got it smoothed out and completely covered. You know, if it's, you see a dry spot, and I hope I did it well enough. There's a little bit more left there. Let me just do that edge. Okay, so there it's coated with the gesso. Taddy's got a UPS delivery coming. Yeah, and you can use the gesso on the thin papers to help it not go through. Like I said, I'm real careful about how much water I put down. If I'm using any kind of water medium, I'm careful how much, I dry in between layers and all that. But yeah, people use it for the thin papers. But again, I'll use watercolor on Bennett Klein. It's got the thinnest papers of any papers. And so, And also, guys, if it's a one-sided page, as long as you put something between it so that you don't ruin the next page, it really doesn't matter if it goes through. Because like alcohol markers are going to go through almost everything, right? But as long as you put something between it, like, so it doesn't go through. And I put this here just so I wouldn't glue my 2 pages together, because I went right up to the edge. As soon as I dry it, I'm going to move that parchment. Okay, heat gun. And I will be tearing these pages out of the book and putting them in my, I keep my oversized pages in a big ledger, that 7 Gypsy oversized ledger. Yeah, just as a primer. And I just never use it, guys, until I got this, this. I mean, I've used some before over the years, but I never liked the grittiness. The grittiness of gesso, so I just never use it. If I ever wanted to, like, get rid of, white out something, like in my magazine journals, I just use white craft paint to white out text, or get a base coat of something white on a page. I just use white acrylic paint. Yeah, it's because of where it's shipping from Russia, I think, Terry. That's why. Like I said, I'll put the link to her website in the description box under the video. All right, so now I'm going to, well, no, you know what? I think I will leave it here because I don't know how much of a mess I'm going to make. All right, so I got just a porcelain palette here from it's a lid from one of the other watercolor sets I have. And I have my mermaid markers here. I keep them in here with my Zig Kuritakis in the little llama, the llama. And if people ask where I got this at Michael's. I don't know if they still have them, but it was in the planner section. And it came with I think about 50 gel pens. Well, I gave Cam all the gel pens, and I put my Zig Kuritakis from Eileen in here, and my Jane Davenport mermaid markers. Okay, so, but I'm not going to use them full strength. They're very concentrated. You could, and I might add some touches full strength. I don't know yet, but I'm going to squeeze drops of it out here, and use my watercolor. Let me see. It's in my box here. I was using it to sketch with. And use my water brush to pick it up and move it around. Or you could just use a regular paintbrush and dip it in water, you know, and pick up your either way. This is just as easy. Now I would never use my water brushes with acrylic paints. I do a lot of acrylic washes. I don't use these, and I'm not saying you could never, but if you get acrylic paint up in this barrel, you're probably going to ruin it. I would just recommend just using water mediums with your water brushes and not acrylic paint. Even though you can water down acrylic paint, I would not take the chance of ruining my water brushes with acrylic paint. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with her tail and her body. And they're usually greens, you know, although I'm going to probably keep her kind of green because she's got the water. I'll probably want to do the water blue. And we'll see how it goes. Depends if I want to do, after I'm done with everything, a black background. I don't know. And if I do a black background, it will be with just acrylic paint, flat black acrylic, Americana craft paint, not watered down. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and get the two greens out here, the dark green and the light green. And what I'm going to do, and try not to make a mess here, I'm just going to squeeze out a couple drops, and you can always squeeze out more, you know, if you need it. Oh, and that's the other thing. When you take these caps on and off, they're really tight. And so if there's any loose ink in there, it can splatter taking it off and putting it on. So I would recommend not taking off and putting on the caps like right over your work. Kind of go off to the side because they're really tight. And they do, look, see, I've already got it on my hands. So they could be a little messy. Okay, so just saying. All right, so now I'm going to spray one little spritz of water on each little pile there, and let's see what we can do. Let's start with this one. All right, so I'm going to put a layer on here and I'll probably kind of feather it up. I'm gonna clean off my brush here and get just water and kind of water that up into her skin so she's kind of turning green. Now again, this is floating on top. It's floating on top of the gesso. It's not soaking into the paper, which can be good, but at the same time, I think I'm just gonna go right over some of those other little bits there. Because when this dries, it can still lift. It won't probably lift back to white paper, but We're going to go with, we're also going to go with pencils, I imagine. And I probably will go with the Jane Davenport colors because of the skin tones. I want to do skin tones. And maybe, you know what, I think I like to do dark skinned girls every now and then. I might do her dark skin with black hair. What do y'all think? We'll see. All right. So now I'm going to get the other green over here, and let's test that out. It's a little bit more. I'm almost tempted to kind of mix both greens. See, I'm starting to lift. I can see I'm lifting the other color underneath. I'm just going to go with both those greens on her tail. So if I do her black hair, then I can do the water teal or something. Again, I don't want to say I'm rushed, but I only have an hour or so. But if I don't finish, I can always, I can keep recording. Just finish it up. Even if I'm not broadcasting. Because I wouldn't mind. We'll see how it goes. Because see how fast this is kind of going? If y'all have any questions, put them in caps. So the point of watercolor, though, is you want it to look watercolory, right? But also know that now if I go to do teal watercolor next to her tail, it will bleed. They'll bleed together because the watercolor's just floating on the top of the gesso. Let's see, I think her tail comes right up in there. And I'm just picking it right up off the palette, what I squeezed out. Because it's so concentrated, guys. The Mermaid ink, marker ink, is so concentrated. So we'll continue on. We'll see how we can layer after I hit it with the heat gun. Let's see, her tail goes back in there and right up here. Okay. And I'll go in with pencils. I always do. I can't not. Y'all know. And there's some little shells and little leaves, little flowers down in here that I'll go in here with pencil as well. All right, let's carry that up to her skin here because I'm going to put her skin is going to have green there. A green tint. And then I think I'll do her brown. Okay. And look how much I got left. See, there's a lot left right there. All right, let's go ahead. Let me dry it. Let me just go ahead and be safe. And it is buckling just a little. And that's always a concern when you have thin paper. It's a buckling. It's not even so much the going through. You know, I never really care if it buckles a little because I've always found that by the time I got done with the paint, the pencil, it's all flattened out again. You know? It's all flattened back out again by the time you add pencil and everything. All right, so now I think I'm going to, let's mix up. Let's go ahead and do her hair black, though. Let's go ahead and use this Raven color here. And I'm going to squeeze water out here in my little palette and get a coat of black hair. And I'll probably go back in with pencil. I'll probably do some like gray-blue highlights to give her shine in her hair. So this is, we'll see how dark I can get it. See, it's floating on top, so it's not really getting real black because it's not soaking into the paper, which can be a good thing or not. but we're going to roll with it. No questions. Everybody good? All right. So if y'all do have any questions, ask while I'm doing this. What Galena said, Amazon just ordered something for you? Sure, Galena. What'd you get? Or what did those ghosts order for you? What did they order, Galena? I know earlier you were talking about the paints, the new dilution colors. I saw you talking about ordering those. Is that what accidentally got ordered? 150 Prismas for $60? Oh, that's a steal. That's a great deal. Okay, I got to kind of get in here on her hair, so give me a minute. And I want to use the glitter paint. I don't know if we're going to have time. We'll see, guys. I might have to save this for, well, no, Monday I have that other color book I want to review. So Monday we're going to do that book. So we'll just see how far we get today on this. And I'm just picking up some more black here and then squeezing out a little water in here. Don't squeeze out water on your page. Squeeze the water. If you want it more water, squeeze it out on the palette, not on your page. Okay. We'll see if we can do more layering up here. I want that all black right there. We'll see how much, after I hit it with the heat gun, or is it just going to completely lift off? We'll see, because we can always go in with pencil. I'm not really zoomed in because I think you kind of know what I'm doing here. That's part of the fish there. So, Dee, when you do a page like this, do you do the background acrylic or just? Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Prisma, I might do the background acrylic. It just depends. I like my backgrounds done, but in this case it's got gesso on it, and I don't know. I just don't usually use gesso, but because I was going to use the watercolor today, I wanted to go ahead and do that because I did buy it to use. Right? So, but I like my backgrounds with acrylic paint. I just like the look of it. But we want to try different things, and I really want to use the glitter paint. I don't know what color, but I got the Twinkles Deco Art glitter paint in gold and the blue and red and clear. I think clear would be great because you're just going over. But here's the thing again. This is watercolor. This is watercolor on top of gesso, which will re-lift. So we'll have to see if it's possible to do the glitter on top of the watercolor without lifting up all the watercolor, right? Okay, so we got a base. That's part of the fish there. Is that part of her? I don't know. It could be either one. If it's one of those kind of fish, I'm going to go ahead and do it there. Could be either one. So when we go to put the glitter paint on, it might lift the paint. Right? Okay, so there's a base coat now. All right, so now I'm going to clean that off, and I'm going to mix a pretty sienna brown skin. Let's put this color. There's some left over there. Let's put that. Add some water drops and some brown. And let me see how I can work this on top of the gesso. Let's see here. Let's start under her arm here where there's going to be a shadow. It's going to be a shadow under her arm here. See, so I'm going on top of that green. It's kind of lifting it. But I want to water this down because I want to feather this out. Let's see how well I can do this on top of gesso. Let's get an initial color on here. Because like I said, I'm going to go in here with pencil. Let's just see if we can kind of feather that out. I don't want her skin to look all, well, I guess it wouldn't matter. She's a mermaid. Watery like. Do you know what I mean, Vern? Like she's got some kind of ick. You know? I don't want her to look like she's got ick. You know, fish, some kind of fish disease. So let's clean the brush, kind of do a little blend here. And she does have a little bit of scale on her arm there. So let me go back to the green. I'm going to put some green right on her arm because she's got scales right there. See, because I want to kind of do layers, but the gesso is fighting me on the skin. So that might have to be a pencil fix. But I wanted to play with the watercolors. I think she's got some hair back in there somewhere behind that seaweed. Can y'all see okay? We're not real zoomed in because the page is so big. It's like 12.5 by 12.5. So her skin's going to look very watercolorly modeled, which I don't like. But let's get it on here and then we'll go in there and blend with pencil. Maybe. Oh. See, for me, at least, working with the gesso under, it's almost like too much trouble. That's just me. The gesso is almost like it's, you gotta fight it. Because it doesn't want to soak in, you know? So you're almost having to fight the gesso. Yeah, I know, Gene, you like your real watercolor paper, exactly. But we're trying to show how you can use it in color books. Yeah, see, I'm not liking the skin at all. with the gesso. Now let me see something though. I'm going to test something. I'm going to take my baby wipe. Let's see if we can blend that out. With a baby wipe. It's really lifting a lot of it, but her skin needs to be smoothed out. So I'm going to do that with the baby wipe. And then we'll go back in with, you know, some nice pretty dark browns to make her skin. There we go. So yeah, we're just lifting it off. Yeah. Okay, so smooth that little girl out a little bit. I mean, I want it to look watercolory on everything else, but not her skin, you know. Okay. Now, let me go back in the hair behind here. Got a little bit of hair back behind the seaweed. I'm gonna do her in pencil. But let me dry this and let's try to put some more green on here and see what happens. Okay. Wax on, wax off, yeah. See, watercolor just does, you know, to me watercolor is supposed to sink into the paper. And when you gesso it, it totally resists. All right, now I think I'm going to get out, do I want blue? I think I'm going to go here with this navy blue. What's it called? Blueberry. But I'm going to have to put it on another palette because I'm running out of room. Here's a little bit over here, I think. Let me just squeeze some of that out. I'm just reconstituting some of this that's here. And I want to do the bubbles. So let's go ahead and do the bubbles. Yeah. Soaky, soaky. Yeah. I don't like the soaky, soaky. I mean, I like it to soak in. I don't like it floaty. I don't like it floaty, floaty. Whoops, sorry guys. I got to keep moving the page because it's so big. It's just not, watercolor's made to go into the paper. But I know that we wanted to test it out, and we did that manga girl, pop manga. But we did go back with pencil too. See any more bubbles there? Okay. We like to test. Okay, so now I think these fish, I'm going to go ahead and do a coat of some oranges. She got a little spot right in here to mix. I'll start with yellow, a yellow base, and go back and shade with the orange, like almost like what are those fish called? Tiger fish. Anyway, I'm just going to put a base yellow here on them. Again, I am kind of hurrying, guys. I am trying to rush this. So there we go. And then these fish, there's an angel fish here. Maybe we'll do him in blue. We'll just put a coat of blue over the whole thing. As a base, get rid of the white of the paper. Then these two fish, maybe we'll do them this apple red. This has some And it's watered down, so it almost looks like a coral color. I wanted to use more of the mermaid markers, and I just totally started digging into into the watercolor palettes. All right, so now that her tail's dry, though, I'm going to try to do another layer. We'll see what happens. All right, so we got coral and stuff over here. Let me move this over on this side and do some of this coral. Here, let's see, do I want, I think that wants that an oranger color. Let's do these flowers here, kind of a red coral color. And it's kind of like I'm doing a wash, like a base to work on top of. And then, let's see, maybe some purple. Let me squeeze out some jellyfish. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze out some jellyfish here. And again, watch it with the caps because they spray or snap and splatter. I'm going to add a little bit of water to that, just so I have some of these purple colors in some of the other sea anemones and coral and whatnot. Here's some more of these, just to get rid of the white of the paper. Are y'all enjoying it? I don't know. Then we'll go back to, I think I'll go over here to some of the red. Again, some of these little flowers, some purple and red mixed. Here. And again, I'll probably go in here with pencil on top. And let's see. Let's go in here with some blue on some of these shells. Let's do a couple shells blue. And just some of the other coral and stuff here. All right, some of the seaweed. Where's my greens here? Let's do some of the seaweed. Is anybody coloring or doing anything playing along? Let me check chat. So there's you on Monday and didn't get lunch everybody. Oh, thanks, Jean. Yeah, I miss you. I miss you at night, Jean. I miss you at night, Jean. I usually fall asleep watching your videos. Jean and I put each other to sleep. Yeah, I like to experiment with it too. So we'll, and of course, like I said, there's always pencil on top. Pencil on top can fix anything. Seriously. Pencil can fix anything. Prismas to the rescue. Okay, so let's go back down here to this little bit of more flower down in this area. And I think I'm just going to do part of that, all this green here. Oh, that's black. Wait a minute. It's kind of... We'll blend that out and then put pencil in there. Okay. Francis is working on Zimyasnova, but I've just got the new Erie book, so waiting to do a page in that. Yay. Jean, pencils is my hands can fix anything. Yes, Jean. Pencils in my hand can fix anything. May is coloring the vampire book from Jade Summer. Oh, I haven't seen the vampire one. May. Terry's waiting for a contractor. She just moved, All right, let me go in here, back in here with the yellow and the orangey colors on some of this coral right here and on her shell shirt. It takes a while on these big pages just to get rid of all the white of the page, you know, just to get rid of the paper. All right, and then there's a little bit more green right here. I gotta be careful. I don't want it to bleed into her skin. Although right there it's okay because that's green. Okay, then let's see. Let's go ahead and go with a little bit more of the red or purple on some of these shells. Let's go with a little purple maybe. There's all these little tiny, tiny shells. That'll be nice to add up, as long as it'll work, on top of watercolor. Some Posca dots. I don't know, that might smear. Just saying, that might smear. Some blue down here. And some more purple right in here. I hope you're feeling better, Jean. We cannot have you not being sassy pants. Well, I mean, everybody has times. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you not to feel something, but you know what I mean. All right, so here's some corally stuff. I'm just going to try to put a little darker in there. All right, now let's go ahead and try on her tail, because that'll be really obvious, if I can get green and put another layer without it, you know, and still have it work on top of the gesso. See, it wants to lift it. I'm trying to do another, you know, another shade of green or another layer. It just doesn't want to layer. I mean, it is a little, but not like it would without the gesso, let's just say. And I'm not knocking the gesso, especially, you know, people have trouble with thin paper and they want to use watercolor, and you know, I'm always just careful with my watercolor or water mediums in color books. So I'm just not loving the gesso. That's just me. Okay, let's dry all this. And see, her hair needs another layer too. Let's test that out. Let me squeeze out some more black here. Let's go right at the roots. The roots. See, it doesn't want to layer. It wants to puddle. It wants to pool. Doesn't want to do what I want it to do. Pencils to the rescue. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting this layer on the big areas though. Especially her skin. The watercolor on gesso on her skin, wasn't having that. See, I'm just wiping this off practically. I'm just not liking that. All right, now I kind of went, there we go. Hey, you can erase. That's kind of good. You can wipe it up with the baby wipe, right? All right, so that's all for the watercolor. All right, let me move everything here. Take another sip of coffee. All right, let's move all the watercolor stuff. Dry it. Don't get me wrong, I love the Jane Davenport mermaid markers because they're so concentrated and vibrant. But just be careful with the caps. Taking the caps off and on. No, your paper doesn't pill with the gesso. But again, it doesn't do what you want it to do. Watercolor doesn't do what you want it to do either. So, you know, it's an experiment. It, you know, it doesn't hurt to have some gesso. You know. All All right, let me dry. Thanks, Connie. She's going to look prettier when I get my pencils to her. Hopefully, I can do the pencils. Well, it should be okay. But the gesso shouldn't affect my pencils. I don't know. We'll see. I don't remember. No, because we use pencils. We use pencils on top of the other, on the pop manga girl. So that worked. All right, where's my lid to my... All right, well, I lost my cap. It's probably here somewhere on the floor. All right, just get it out of the way for a minute. Let's move all this watercolor so I'm not getting that anywhere. Alrighty, what time is it? Okay, we got about 30 minutes. Let's move the mermaid markers. Let's move the watercolor palettes. Move the rulers. Move the paper. Okay, so I'm going to put my cardstock back under here, just so that the pressure of the pencils or anything, so I don't hurt this page, right? But nothing went through. Look, nothing went through the gesso. All right, so let me get my pencils back over here. I'm going to get some nice pretty browns, ochres. I will need one peach to blend. Let's get a peach to blend. Probably a dark brown too. Might need some ginger root. Ginger root, I love my ginger root. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little now. And let me try to adjust the lighting just a little bit bright, just a tad. When using watercolors in large areas, how do you get rid of the paint streaks? Well, that's part of the watercolor. Yeah, and that's why I didn't like it on her skin. Watercolor is meant to look like this. It's meant to look watery. So that's part of the appeal to it. If you want it flat, then I would go with acrylic paint. Okay, acrylic paint is, which is one of my favorite backgrounds, base coats, whether you water it down or use it flat. It's going to depend on the application. All right, now I'm going to get some green because I want her skin. Let's see, probably some apple green. My colors are all mixed up. In my little tray here, these are the colors I use all the time, but I usually have like my blues and greens, yellows and oranges, reds and browns, grays and neutrals, but you can see I've been using them so much they're all just a jumbled mess. Maybe I'll sort. No, I won't have time today. All right, so I'm going to use my dark green and my apple green and probably a little bit of highlight with some chartreuse green. So we're going to go with those greens. I got to sharpen. So I'm going to start with the dark green. All right, so she's got scales on her arm here. So I'm going to kind of get a little bit more accent of that. And the same thing on her body. Okay? She's scaly, you know, she's a mermaid. So she's going to have some green on her skin. It has to, somehow her skin and her scales have to meld, right? That's a line right there from that the artist has on her skin. Alright, so I think I'll just kind of do a little shadow on each scale. I'm just going to go around each one by one. Sharpen, nice sharp. And she's going to have dark skin, so we're going to work with that. And black hair. If I had time, I'd give her braids, like I did my girl in Jasmine. My mermaid in Jasmine. Here, let me see. I'll get out my notebook here. Here, I'm going to take her out. So there's stickles on her. So see how I gave her braids? She didn't have braids. And then see how her, and that's what I want to do, is add some of the glitter paint to her. So, yeah. All right. Alrighty. Alright, I'm going to stop going down all these scales for a minute because I want to get to her skin. I don't want to spend the whole 30 minutes doing just her tail here. Again, I might just continue this on another part, but it probably won't be Monday because I don't know if I never know on Fridays if I will be able to stream. If I can stream on Friday, I'll finish her. Because Monday, we're going to do, somebody sent me their color book to review, and I'm going to do that on Monday. Because I want to read the book first, because it's based on a story. Thanks, May. Alright, now let's go back up here. I'm going to go with the apple green, and I want to just kind of blend some of the apple green into her skin. Like some of the scales are kind of turning her skin green, which is kind of gross, actually. You think about it. But I mean, she is a mermaid, so that's happening on her. I mean, there's actually like little scales drawn on her arm, right? All right, so now I'm going to come down here. Thanks, Marilyn. I like to do our different skin colors for all our friends and different, you know, nationalities and skin tones, and that's why I love drawing from Sketchy. This, if y'all like to draw people, or if you want to practice drawing people, I would recommend getting the, it's an app, but when that sounds like it does something. The Sketchy app doesn't do anything except give you pictures of people. Okay, that's what Sketchy app is. It's just a place to go where you can post your pictures and get people who have given their pictures over to you to draw. Right? I don't have time. I was going to show you some of I'll show you the actual app. And so people post pictures for you to draw, and there's every color, every nationality. I mean, some people even post their pets and things, but it's mostly people. And you can post your pictures of yourself as well, and leave it open for other people to draw you. All right, and it's a great way to practice drawing people. And it's free. You just sign up. You know then it's kind of your page. It kind of looks like an Instagram grid of all your pieces that you've drawn, and you can save people's pictures. Like you go through hundreds and hundreds of pictures of people, and you can save them to your file, and save that person's photograph so you can draw it later. But it's called Sketchy, Sketchy. Let me show. It probably won't show up on my phone here. I want to try to show you what it looks like. It's Sketchy. No E, and it's an app. I'll try to show you mine in a minute, and I've shown it before, but it's been a long time, and it's been a while since I've done it, because I've been so busy with commissions and color booking and all that I haven't drawn a lot of sketchy. But a lot of those portraits that I showed you last week, or Monday, Monday maybe, when at the very end of the show I flipped through a bunch of my drawings. Those are a lot of those are from Sketchy. Okay, so now let me get a ochre color, or yellow ochre, and I want to do a little bit of shading on her shell. Her little shell. Just a little bit there. Now I want to get to her skin. And I think I'm going to have her have green eyes, because she's a mermaid, so she'll have green eyes. I'm just going to put some green in there, and I'll go in there again. If you want detail in little bitty eyes in your color book, go in with a Sharpie pen or a Pit pen, tiny like that, and you can get in there and get her eyelashes, her pupil. I would probably recommend again doing this after you've done all your all your skin color, but I just want to make sure you get to see. Okay. All right, so now going in with the skin tones. So I'm going to start with the darkest brown first, and no pressure. I'm not no pressure. Then I'm kind of following the lines that the artist left for the shape of her face. Very light. But anyway, if you want to practice drawing, and you don't have to post anything you don't want, right? You just post. You don't ever have to post if you don't want. But if y'all go to it, follow me, and I'll follow you back. And you can comment. It's kind of like Instagram. It's kind of like Instagram. The way it kind of works. She'll have a shadow right here on that hair. And I use so many fewer colors in a color book for the most part than I do in a portrait. But I don't want to spend, I can't say I don't want to spend weeks on a picture, because I have, but I don't usually want to. I don't usually want to spend, weeks and weeks coloring a picture, because we have so many color books and so little time. We love so many different books. So I'm just kind of working with the green and the brown. She'll have a little shadow here. Probably a little bit over on this side of her arm. And then right under her. Alright, so there's a base. Now what I want to do is get some of the, let's go with the sienna color. Oh, let me go ahead and do her face. Or let me go ahead and finish. Let me get back with the dark brown again. Thanks, Francis. Keep layering it up. Okay. Alright, let's go up here in her face. Shade around where her hair is falling. She probably have a lot of shadow on her forehead with that big mane of hair. Really, you know? Alright. Alright, now I'm going to go in with the sienna color and start doing some blending from the dark brown. Because like I said, guys, I did not like the way the watercolor on her skin. So I wiped most of it away. I wiped most of the skin color, you know, the watercolor on her skin, because it's too mottled. You know what I mean? It's too... The watercolor look, which is, you know, what that's supposed to do, but it doesn't look good for skin. And I want to do a little bit of her hair too. You are highlighting in shadow. Well, I don't know about that. It's just I do it so much, you know. And I'm not adding any undertone. I could have put yellow under it, under her skin. But I'm not really trying to make a portrait here, you know. So I am going back over the brown, the dark brown, with the sienna, and then also feathering it out. So it extends out past the dark brown, and very softly. Hey, Marilyn. Sleep well, Marilyn. Thanks for popping in. Being here as you can. And always, Marilyn, you're so sweet on Facebook. Just saying. Don't want to make her look, I don't want her to have a belly. Hang on, let me move that shadow. Where's my eraser? See how it's going to look round like that? I don't want her to look like, I'm going to remove that shadow right there. I mean, I don't know if she has a little bit of a belly, but I don't want her to look like, we're going to have babies. We're going to have mer babies. Okay, let's see. Let's put a little bit more sienna as light as I can. So I'm going to go over it with the ginger root, I think. Or maybe the peach and then the ginger root. You're welcome, May. Alright, let's add a little bit more green to her. Just because that'll be a nice little mermaid touch. Let's give her some green fingernails. Her nails, I'll probably have to get that in there with, yeah, it's okay, alright. Alright, maybe a little on her neck here. Trying to keep it subtle. All right, now I think I'll go in here with, where's my, a little darker. I think I'll just go with, maybe let's just try just the ginger root. We're running out of time. Bye, Terry. All right, let's get her face. And then we'll finish it up if I don't stream on Monday, it won't be on Monday because I want to do that book review. But if I stream on Friday, we'll work on her on Friday. But I won't work on her anymore until we get back together. Even though I did want to put some glitter on her. Maybe I can do enough on her. Maybe I can. Maybe we'll do a little glitter test. Okay, let me just keep blending her skin here. And I did want to get her eyes done. At least maybe a little bit of a blue shadow in her eye and a white highlight. Hang on, let me get the... It's not a lot of space to work. And I didn't get to do her hair. I didn't get to do a lot of stuff. Thanks, guys. We'll go back to her next week. Let's just say that, okay? And you see me, see I'm going over the skin, the brown, with the white. Let's zoom in. It picks up. It picks up the, so you got to kind of clean that off. All right, let's see. A nice dark brown highlight around her shadow of her hair here, which we didn't get to her hair either. And then I want to get my, I want to make sure and pop a highlight in her eyes. And it might be a little big with the, so I'll let that sit for a minute, let it dry for just a second, and then I'll kind of knock it back with the pencil. But it's like lots of layering, and it takes time if you really want it to blend out nicely. You know, you got to take your time with it. And keep cleaning off. I'm coming over here and cleaning off my pencil. I missed what Sarah said. And let's give her a little bit of lip highlight. There's something out there. Must be the next door neighbor. Let's give her a little burnished cheekbone there. Okay. Give her some highlight, and then I'll go back over that with color. Oops. All right, now let me go in here with my pen. What did I do with it? My black pen. Let me get her lip line, her nostril, and knocking back that highlight. It's really big. And now back, let me do a pretty kind of a, let's do a pretty lip. So anyway, guys, I guess we'll go ahead and finish this next week or Friday. I can't say for sure. Let's put a little magenta in her cheek. Blend that in. Gotta fix her lip there. Just the tiniest little bit of her lip there. So any last words before we leave for the day? I need a highlight on that lip. It's not just quite right. Now I've got to let that dry before I can go over it, because it looks like she has a milk mustache. I just have to let that dry for a second. Okay. Hope you liked it. Let's back out. Again, I didn't get half done what I wanted, but we'll finish it later. Just look how big it is. I mean, you know. It's a huge Mama Jamba picture. And it takes a long time to blend skin fairly nicely, which I really want to do. And, you know, I want her to look nice, so. But at least we got most of her face done pretty well. Let's do her little eyebrows a little blacker, because she's going to have jet black hair. At the end of the day, well, she'll have some blue highlights. Let me just do a second on that. Bye, Jean. Alright, so let me just do a little bit of black line on her hair, just so you can kind of see how it's going to look when she has jet black hair. With a little bit of highlight. So you can see where we're going with it. And then we can use a little bit of blue for just a little highlight, which I don't really want to add yet, but so you can see. Yeah, she's going to have jet black hair with a little bit of the watercolor look, the grayish kind of coming through, and then some blue highlights like that. Let's make sure it looks like it's growing out of her head and not just stuck there. Okay, so I think that's going to look really nice at the end of the day. I don't know. I'm not going to answer calls while I'm streaming. Sorry, guys. I had my phone turned off, I thought. All right. So what do y'all think? I think the phone needs to quit ringing. There we go. What do y'all think? Is it going to look cool with the black hair? So we'll finish this up next time that we get to her. Like I said, I have a color book, a new color book that I want to show y'all probably on Monday. So if I stream on Friday, which I don't know yet, but if I stream on Friday, we'll finish her, okay? Let's get her little jawline real quick. Got her jaws a little. Okay, I'm going to leave. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. So that's our experiment with our gessoed page with the watercolor, which I don't care for. I do not care for watercolor on top of gesso. And it's not the grittiness, because that gesso is as smooth as hand cream. But I don't like the way the watercolor doesn't work well on gesso, in my opinion. Okay? But we are going to use some of the Twinkles craft paint by Deco Art, the glitter. We're going to use some of that. Maybe some gold next time. Okay, guys. Thanks, guys. We'll finish her. She'll look lovely when we're done. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.